aid has been there for the past, 60 years, and it creates some kind of dependency. And African countries need to adapt. I do not personally believe that our economy is going to crumble because of aid, because aid is being pulled away. We have the capacities and the resources to find alternatives.
This is AfriPath Voices, the podcast that demystifies doing business in Africa. I'm your host, Linda Ann Numfor, Managing Director at AfriPath Consulting. Each month, we bring you real conversations with entrepreneurs from the US and Europe who are running successful businesses in Africa. Let's dive in. Sub-Saharan Africa's economy is showing resilience despite global uncertainty, with growth projected at 3.5% in 2025 and up to 4.3% by 2026-2027. Driving this are stronger consumption, rising investments, easing inflation, and stabilizing currencies. Today's guest is someone at the center of Africa's economic future. Koffi Yaokwame is an economist and development practitioner based in the United States with over a decade shaping reforms across Africa. From governance to climate, his work bridges policy and practice. Currently a PhD candidate in public policy, his research unpacks how institutions shape opportunities in the global south. And he's not just studying these systems, he's been in the field helping shape them. If you've ever wondered what Africa's true economic trajectory looks like beyond the headlines, you'll hear it from someone who's lived it, studied it, and influenced it.
So thank you for being with us, Mr. Koffi.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
America and Europe were the ultimate destination, right?
Mhm.
We all heard of the American dream. It was not just in the future. This is where we're gonna be.
Mhm.
But today things are really shifting, right? Immigration laws are much more difficult. We have a lot of hurdle when you are looking for jobs in the US, and the market is really tight. It's very difficult. And even when we look at foreign aid, we have increase in terms of foreign
Yeah.
funding. They are putting more conditions on how it should be used. And this, so for some reason, it feels like some doors are closing,
Mhm.
but it's also a time, I think, for us to think through what doors are opening,
Mhm.
right? We are no longer, when I say we, I'm talking about African general, are no longer in a position of just waiting to be rescued. When you go back home, look at how the economy is at this time, you could see
Mhm.
that, oh my God, so much is happening. So
Yeah.
much is
Yeah.
happening. And you'll feel a little bit overwhelmed when you are not going there frequently. When you get there, you feel in the air that there are things changing, and
Mm.
things are not the same anymore. So it's a transitioning time in. So,
Mhm.
Monsieur Kofi, as both a researcher and a practitioner, you have a unique vantage point to this economy and to how it's going right now. So, how
Yeah.
do you see these reshaping options for Africa and the diaspora?
Go back to your description of economics. For me, I mean, I always, to some, liked economics, but initially it was not really my core. And
Mhm,
I came to economics through political science. But then I realized that actually you cannot do true political science if you do not understand the economy. Everything is, it's like the two faces of the same coin, right? And it's about
yes.
how you manage society. Fundamentally,
Mhm,
that how you manage the resources that you have. And all the political thing, it's about access to resource. That fundamentally academic in me is speaking. took me to the practitioner side, because when you look at the development industry, ed development, um, I had the feeling that you have a practitioner in one side and you are the academic on the other side, and the academics are in the ivory towers, they write, papers and things, and then it's like the two sides don't always speak to each other's, right? And
And yeah.
that pushed me to the practitioner side. Seeing how both worlds work, make me think
Mhm.
differently about what's happening now. You mentioned the immigration, and you mentioned
Mhm.
also the tightening, or the pulling back of international aid, mainly from the US aid, uh, uh,
Mhm.
the
From
United.
USA was.
Thing is, they do not have choice. We have to act. That is the reality. And in my writing, I think you need to think about aid as a scaffolding. As when you build a house, you put all the scaffolding to help put one brick after another brick. The problem with many African economies is that it has become part of the building, right? It
Mhm.
has never been put down. Normally, when the house is solid, you take down the scaffold. The thing is,
Yes.
aid has been there for the past, 60 years, and it creates some kind of dependency. And African
Mhm.
countries need to adapt. I do not personally believe that our economy is going to crumble because of aid, because aid is being pulled away. I do not think that. I think that we have the capacities and the resources to find alternatives. I'm staying relatively positive on that side.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. What should be the role of the diaspora in that change? Is there any data that shows that we participate in the economy of these countries? And if we do, at what percentage?
Mhm.
And is there a role that the diaspora can play if there is, because there will be a void, whether
Mhm.
we want it or not, in the economy of these countries? And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm wondering, is that something that the diaspora should be taking on?
Well, the diaspora has a role to play as economic actors, but uh,
Yes.
the diaspora cannot substitute to government funding. That is not possible. The diaspora does
Yeah.
not have no one is bigger than a state. No entity. Well, you do.
Exactly.
I'm taking that back, because you do have, some company like Google's, like economically,
Yeah.
yeah, funds. But what diaspora has a role to play, but that role has to be done in coordination in with the different countries. The diaspora is sending, I do not have the exact number, but the diaspora is sending a huge amount of money back home. And it depends on the countries, and Senegalese diaspora, for instance, that is better organized in working with Senegal for a long time. And I can see the comparison. For instance, you do have also the Nigerian diaspora, and in many
Yeah.
cases, the Ghanaian diaspora is very, very much active in their economies back home. Not so
Wait.
generally, you don't see that much with the rest of Francophone Africa, specifically Cote
Mhm.
d'Ivoire. We do have a role to play in each of our countries. We do have a role to play. But what I'm saying is that even when you look at the other diaspora, uh, Senegal has a system where they basically better manage, they have a better control, centralize things. This is an approach that many African countries, the rest of Francophone Africa, and some Anglophone countries also need to do. Uh, who is outside? What are they doing outside? how much money they're sending each year and where do that money goes. Is there a way to basically tell the diaspora, hey, you don't necessarily have you don't you Linda, you don't have to send money directly to your aunt or whatever, but there's that hedge fund, there is that account guarantee by the government, and you can buy bonds, you can invest in those kind of security bonds. And I know that in Cote d'Ivoire they are really kind of increasing this kind of the financial articulation, right? Put money in some
Mhm.
big pockets so that the governments can do something with that, or whether it goes in private sectors. But it's that
Right. Mhm.
data are very important. And unfortunately, I think that many of our countries in sub-Saharan Africa, we do not have good data when it comes to the diaspora. It's kind of, each
Mhm.
for its own, like French people say, chacun pour soi. And that is an issue.
Mhm.
That is an issue. I think that the governments to track the diaspora and basically say how we're going. Yeah.
Mm. You need people investing in your economy. That's one. Two, for the diaspora, you it has to be with a return because some it's yes, we love our country, but we are not a charity, right?
Yeah.
It's not like uh, the people here are not, just looking. If it was just for charity purposes, they are sending, like you said, they are already sending funds to their loved ones, and
Yeah.
I don't think they are expecting any in return when it comes to that. I wonder how that would work because you have to think through how do you return money? How do you track first how much transparency would that be for between a government and individuals? And then secondly, how do I track my return in investment? Uh yeah, so it's a great idea. I wonder if it's something that is even doable this time for a few of our countries.
Putting
Yeah.
together raising funds, public funds, and some governments have already done that. I know, and I'm not saying that Cote d'Ivoire is the best.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that, but I know that the Ivorian government, I think 6 months ago, they did have public fundraising, on the market for some bonds,
Mhm.
some government guaranteed bonds. It was not actually, I think that it was in franc CFA, it was not in dollars or euros, which is a great thing. I think that and I may be wrong, but last time that I checked, it was more those who really invested that. Again, many are not part of the diaspora. When there were those funds,
Yeah.
those public funds, it's mostly, Europeans or Americans. So what I'm saying is that, and we do
Mhm.
have people have the capability to reach out if there is a will, if there is a want, like you
Mhm.
say, from our different governments to see. We do have talents from our countries. They live in the US, they live in Europe. How many exactly? And what are they doing?
Mhm.
And can they, or do they want, put money in this
Mhm.
account that is guaranteed by the government? If you buy this bond, you will have this percentage return in, yeah, I don't know, 5 years, 3 years, depending of whatever financial articulation is put. That really, when but the very first step is really having a good survey of who is outside
Mhm.
and what are they doing,
Yeah.
and do they have, and I think that the diaspora has the ability to send a huge amount of money, even if small. When it's put together, it
Mhm.
becomes big. So the idea
Yeah.
to have an entity that is known, secured, and respected on the financial market by everybody. That if I give my money to this institution, of return, it's not a scam. It's something guaranteed by the government and by
Yeah.
the map. And people from outside will
Mm-hmm.
do that. And I think that there is my cousin or whatever, or I buy a house, I build a house back home. To go to my house, I need to drive on a road. I need to have sanitation, everything connected to the public, to the energy, to the roads going there. And that is things
Mm-hmm.
that come from the government, right? So you can send money individually. It may help your family, but the thing is, it becomes just consumption. You
Mm-hmm.
consumption and it's done. It is not
Mm-hmm.
long-term investment, macro
Mm-hmm.
or structural investment that in 5, 10 years it will still produce. But if there is a pot
Mm-hmm.
of money somewhere and that the government, for instance, say, okay, we invest in whatever, and that money keeps coming, the return keeps coming, it's good for everybody. The government gets the taxes on, whoever invested in the diaspora, they get money on. Everybody is happy in that thing. But I agree,
Yeah.
we do have something to play.
And what about the diaspora entrepreneurs? Like you have people that are much more attracted to single
Yeah,
opportunities, right? Like I want to build a water, I don't know, a water business, or I want to be in selling panels, solar panels,
yeah.
these ones. Do you think that they need to be back home to start this type of businesses, or is something they can do even sitting here working the 9 to 5 in the United States?
Right now they can't. Right, there is not the human infrastructure. When I say human, I mean, the people. The thing is, if you are here, solar panel, for instance, and I would say many most
Mhm.
probably would come from China. Very good, by the way. I think they are better than the US in that, and which is a problem with the US actually. Anyway, um,
Yes.
you will have to deal with China, okay, but let's say have contacts, have business partners there. First of
Mhm.
all, the business, is it easy? All the paperwork needed to do business, and that is the administrative burden. There is a big difference between
Mhm.
Anglophone and Francophone Africa in that. All the data have shown that it is easier to some extent to start, a business in Anglophone Africa. Well, it doesn't mean that there is everything goes well, but the administrative burden is less. Let's say that you start
Mhm.
your business, you need to go through all that paperwork. Can you do that from outside? If you have to do that from outside, it means that back home you have some contact that can do, basically you send the money, you send the information,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Is it
Mhm.
easy? And that this is it goes back to government. And when I say government, I'm not just talking about the big people. I'm talking about
Yes.
you go how you say I'm going to say that in French. La mairie, prefecture, you have to, all those part of the government, it has to be easy to access. I've heard
Yeah.
lately the Ivorian government is testing, for instance, the justice system, the possibility to have some of the paper online, which is a good
Mm.
thing. If it's well run, it is a good thing. It speed up the
Yeah.
process. The thing that is bad or that is really hard for businesses to start, it's the administrative burden. When it's too much, it
Yes.
discourages people. It's a waste of money, and it's somewhat encourage. corruption. You need
Yeah.
basically to speed up things.
To push her forward.
Yeah, you need to grease the
Yeah.
system. You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You can have the money, but if on the ground there is not the infrastructure to support your business, not that you cannot do, but it's to be
Yeah.
hard. And we need to reach that level. It's easy if you have the funds, you come or you send your funds to your business partner and you know that it's secured. This is what
Yeah.
that is my personal example with Belgium. It's easy to some extent to do everything from abroad, opening a
Mm-hmm.
business nurse. You know exactly who to talk to. It's
Mm-hmm.
clear, and I was able from here to have contact over there and say, okay, now I will come this day, I will meet this person from the authority. But
Mm-hmm.
I was able to do that from here. And at the age of AI, honestly,
Yeah.
do not need a huge bureaucracy to do those things.
Yeah.
We do have we have
The
intelligent,
technology. Yeah.
educated, and the technology. Internet is all over the place back home, so
Yeah.
we can do that. So yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, that's really, really true also. It's very important for people that don't, even if they have something, sometimes it's just the hurdles, the challenges that make it
Mhm.
difficult, and they postpone and postpone and postpone, and before you know it, you are almost at age of retirement, right? So it's important
And yeah, I mean, it's not generally when you retire that you start a
that you
business.
better start something.
That
Unless you
no,
you you want a new life, you're just hitting the ground running, you
yeah.
opening a brand new thing, and a risk, and it's best to test market when you are younger, right?
You've just listened to AfriPath Voices and heard what Africa has to offer. Book a consultation with AfriPath at afripathconsulting.com today to find out how to transform your little capital into a lucrative business in Africa. We'll help you turn your vision into a roadmap and business ownership in no time. New episodes drop once a month. In the meantime, subscribe, share, and mark your calendar. See you in the next episode, and until then, keep thriving and take care of yourself.